My name is Brenda, and this is History Coles Notes. So let's get started. In the ancient times, travelers would write about the amazing things that they would see on their journeys, and over time, 7 of these places became known as the 7 wonders of the world. And then time and war ravaged these sites. Some were destroyed, others survived. But as time passed, humanity would create even more amazing things, which started another list. And that list would be the 7 wonders of the modern world. So let's start by taking a look at the 7 ancient wonders and what happened to them. So we're going to start with the only one of the 7 ancient wonders that still exists today, the Pyramids of Giza. These pyramids were built between 2575 to 2465 BC and are on a rocky plateau on the west bank of the Nile River near Giza in northern Egypt. These were the final destination for the kings they were built for and were plundered both internally and externally in ancient and medieval times. They were stripped of their treasures and of their outer casing, which was limestone. They were declared a World Heritage Site in 1979, and they draw tons of tourists every year. To this day, archaeologists still dig at this site, making new discoveries all the time. They're also working very hard to conserve this wonder to allow for future generations to see the last standing wonder of the ancient world. Now, the next on this list is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which was thought to be a series of landscape terraces. The exact location is not known, but it is thought to have been located near the royal palace in Babylon. Some researchers claim that the gardens were built as rooftop gardens, while others suggest that the gardens were built within the walls of the royal palace itself. These experts believe that the gardens didn't actually hang, but were raised off the ground and laid out in a series of terraces. But then, in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, further research suggests that these theories were misconceptions. In the newer theories, these gardens were laid out on a slope designed to imitate a natural mountain landscape, and they were watered using an irrigation system. To this day, we have no confirmation of this and only have to imagine its beauty. The statue of Zeus at Olympia in Greece is one wonder that we have confirmation on. This statue was placed in the massive Temple of Zeus and stood about 40 feet or 12 meters high and was veered with gold and ivory. It represented the god Zeus sitting on his throne, which was also covered in ivory, gold, and also ebony and precious stones. His right hand was outstretched and holding a statue of Nike, which represented victory, and his left hand held a scepter with an eagle perched on it. It took about 8 years to build and was said to be built in about 430 BCE, which was confirmed with the discovery of the workshop of the creator in the 1950s. The temple that housed Zeus was destroyed in 426 CE, and the statue is believed to either been destroyed then or by a fire in current Istanbul about 50 years later. The Temple of Artemis was once located in western Turkey, and this beauty made it on this list not only because of its size, but because of the magnificent works of art that adorned it. It was built in about 550 BCE, and it was rebuilt after it was damaged by fire in 356 BCE. It was said to be about 350 by 180 feet, or 110 by 55 meters in size, and it was destroyed by invaders in 262 CE. It was never rebuilt after this. Very little remains of the structure other than fragments like sculptured columns that are located in the British Museum, but copies of the statue actually survive today. It's not your normal Greek representation of a goddess that they're known for, devastatingly good-looking, fit, strong, but soft and gentle. In this representation, Artemis, she kind of looks like a mummy, with her hands extended outwards, and she stands very stiffly straight. She was originally made of gold, ebony, silver, and black stone, with her legs and hips covered with a garment that's decorated with pictures of animals and bees. The top of her body is covered with multiple breasts, and her head is adorned with a tall headdress, not your typical Greek haughty that you're used to seeing. The next wonder on this list is also a bit dark. That's because it's a mausoleum. The mausoleum of Halicarnassus was the tomb of Mausolus, who was the ruler of Caria in southwestern Asia Minor. It was built in his capital city by his wife and sister around 353 and 351 BCE. It was designed by Greek architects, and the sculptures were the work of leading Greek artists. It was said that the building was square and was said to be surrounded by 36 columns. The top formed a 24-step pyramid that had 4-horse marble chariots on top. Fragments of sculptures still survive of this in the British Museum, and it's said that this structure was destroyed by an earthquake between the 11th and 15th centuries, with its building materials being reused in local buildings. Number 6 on this list is the Colossus of Rhodes, which was built in the 4th century BC on the island of Rhodes in the Mediterranean Sea. It was a massive bronze statue of the sun god Helios. It was reinforced with iron, weighted with stones, and was said to be about 105 feet or 32 meters high. This statue took about 12 years to build, and it fell after an earthquake struck in about 225 BCE. The fallen Colossus was just left where it fell until about 654 CE, when Arabian forces raided Rhodes and had this statue broken up into pieces, and the bronze was sold as scrap metal. It is said that the fragment itself totaled more than 900 camel loads worth of metal. The last wonder on this list was called the Lighthouse of Alexandria, and it's considered to be the most famous lighthouse in antiquity. To this day, it's the blueprint of all lighthouses that's been created since. It was built in 280 BCE, and it stood in the harbor of Alexandria on the island of Pharos. It was said to be about 350 feet or 110 meters tall, and the only other taller man-made structure at that time would have been the Pyramids of Giza. Now, according to ancient sources, the lighthouse was built in 3 stages that all sloped inward. The lowest was a square, the next was an octagon, and the top was a cylindrical shape. The wide staircase that led from the bottom to the top, it was what they took and they lit a fire that burned on top all night long. So what happened to this? Some reports say that the lighthouse was replaced with a big statue representing either Alexander the Great or Ptolemy I, and then in the Middle Ages it was turned into a mosque. It was said to be still standing by the 12th century, but then in 1477, the local sultan was able to build a fort from its ruins. Then in 1994, the waters near where this lighthouse was standing was mapped out under the request of the Egyptian government. They wanted to know if there was anything of historical significance there before they built a concrete breakwater over this site. And what they found was hundreds of massive masonry blocks and statues, which experts believe came from the lighthouse when it was destroyed by an earthquake in the 1300s. With this discovery, the Egyptian government abandoned their breakwater idea and planned an underground park where you can now view the many discovered statues, stone sphinxes, and the remains of this wonder. So now that we know what the ancient wonders are, your next question likely is, Brenda, what are the modern wonders of the world? Well, they are the Great Wall of China, Chichen Itza in Mexico, Petra in Jordan, Machu Picchu in Peru, Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, the Colosseum in Rome, and the Taj Mahal in India. So, how many of these modern wonders have you guys seen in person? They are absolutely fabulous. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can join me for more History Coles Notes. Be sure to check out all the other amazing content that we have on the Horrifying History channel, and be sure to follow us on social media. It's there where you'll be the very first to hear about everything coming up in the Horrifying History universe, and you can join us history lovers and talk about this show. You can find links to our social media in the show notes. Thank you all for watching again today. And until next time.